exaggeration to say it's been the strongest year of boxing programming in the history of the network. And not just for the obvious reasons, you know, the signing Floyd Mayweather to potentially the biggest individual athlete content in sports, the biggest pay-per-view ever, you know, the all-time biggest gate, the largest ever closed circuit distribution, theater distribution, you know, the crowd of 40,000 people at the Alamo Dome, largest paid attendance for a boxing event in nearly 15 years. You know, the all-time highs for Showtime TV ratings. This is, as a side note, the second straight year of Showtime ratings improvements. And over the last 2 years, since the end of 2011 when I started, Showtime ratings are up nearly 60%, which, even if I say so myself, is something that we're obviously very happy with. But there's also the not so obvious reasons. You know, we set the, together with Golden Boy, our event set the record for the biggest gate for Barkley's event back in April for Garcia versus Judah. Then we set the record again 2 months later with Malignaggi and Adrien Broner. We've had, you know, under the radar, you know, amazing fights like Maidana versus Lopez at StubHub Center, the largest gate ever, the largest paid attendance ever for a StubHub event. And probably, for my money, the fight of the year, Figueroa versus Arakawa, which came out of nowhere. And just shows the commitment that we have to making good fights. We, Golden Boy and Showtime, are extremely proud of what we've done this year because we feel like we did it the right way. No mismatches, no appearance fights, just really competitive, tough fights. And that was really my goal when I started at Showtime nearly 2 years ago. It was the best fighters, the biggest fights, the meaningful matchups. And I've got to thank Richard and Golden Boy for allowing that to happen, because without the cooperation of a promoter who's committed to quality fights, then those goals don't happen. And I especially have to thank all of the fighters who've been fighting on Showtime this year, because they're the ones who have been willing to step up and take difficult fights after difficult fights, you know, without breaks. When we get to a little bit of our card in the fall, I'll point out a couple of those in particular. Richard and I have been sitting around talking and trying to figure out how we were going to celebrate this momentous year, you know, and really acknowledge what had been accomplished this year. And we came up with a plan that's actually, we believe, is an early holiday gift to the fans. We have reconfigured our boxing schedule, many of you know by now. But we took essentially what was 3 shows and we're turning them into 2 back-to-back quadruple headers. At least 3 championship fights on each one. I think the second one has 4 championship fights now. And it's going to be back-to-back, the 2 biggest back-to-back events that we've seen in quite a while. So I'll go ahead and go through the lineup here. December 7th at Barclays Center, that is still being headlined by Zab Judah and Paulie Malignaggi. We've added now, through the consolidation of the November 30th card, we've got 3 title fights on the undercard. Devin Alexander taking on Sean Porter. It's a welterweight world title. Erislandy Lara versus Austin Trout. It's the interim super welterweight title. Saki Obika and Anthony Durrell for the WBC super middleweight championship. So you've got the Battle of Brooklyn with 3 world title fights underneath. And again, this fits into the model. If we look at Austin Trout, for example, I want to acknowledge him. Austin is coming off of 2 back-to-back fights with Miguel Cotto and then with Canelo Alvarez. And what does he get as a thank you? It's not a break. Like I said, we match the fighters tough. And, you know, this is, Erislandy Lara is as tough as the last 2 fights that he's had. But that's the commitment that our promotional partner Golden Boy has made. That's the commitment the fighters have made. Those are the types of fights that we like to see. Then the big change on December 14th. Of course, all of you know we had a pay-per-view card originally contemplated on December 14th. We still have a pay-per-view event. It's just we're charging nothing for it. This event is now going on Showtime. It's going to be produced just like a pay-per-view. It's going to be a quadruple header. It's going to have its own all-access. It's still going to be headlined by Adrien Broner and Marcos Maidana, one of the most exciting fights that we haven't already done this year. Added to that card will be another war. Keith Thurman, Jesus Soto Karass. I think we're going to let the referee stay at home for that one because I think those guys will just walk to the middle of the ring and start punching. Leo Santa Cruz, one of the young fighters who really made a name for himself over the last year and a half. He will be defending his world title against Cesar Seda. Also on the card, Beylut Shumanov versus Tomas Kovas. It's the World Light Heavyweight Championship. And finally, Victor Ortiz will be returning to action in that fight. He will be taking on Alfonso Gomez in his first fight in quite some time. So again, on that,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Don't complain.
Don't run.
yeah, it's fine. Yes, right.
The more the merrier.
Right.
Let's get him out.
So on that one in particular, with the exception of Victor Ortiz, who's coming back after 18 months off in a broken jaw, 4 world title fights, pay-per-view worthy production. I don't think there's any question that this is a pay-per-view quality card. We have made some hard decisions. We've tightened the belt. We canceled our Christmas party, for the year, and we're giving fans an early holiday gift by putting this on Showtime where it really deserves to be seen. And I've got to thank my promotional partner because there were some financial sacrifices that had to be made all around. But Richard, like I, am committed to putting on the best fights on the network whenever possible.
And Lem can take off his hat and he can pass it around to you guys can all chip in. No, this is really quite amazing. I mean, this is, did I think that the Broner pay-per-view was going to do 500,000 homes? No. But did I think that the Broner pay-per-view is going to do somewhere in 200,000, 175, 200, 225,000? Absolutely. To be able to put that card together, pretty much with Broner, Maidana, Thurman, Soto Karass, Leo Seda, and then Shumanov and Victor Ortiz, is clear. It's a pay-per-view card. And I do not remember, remember in the history since we've been promoting that there was any live network card with that kind of lineup. And I think it very much shows the commitment Showtime has, and I want to thank Stephen and Matt Blank, and particularly as well Leslie Moonves, the Chairman and CEO of CBS, the parent corp, who has a strong commitment to the sport and first and foremost is a fan of the sport, goes to the fights, enjoys it, takes his friends and his family there, and I'm just thrilled to be able to do business with partners like that, and for them to be able to come up at the end of the year, you can just imagine with the necessary funds to do that is absolutely spectacular. And it's not that we really canceled that any of the guys is not going to be busy because Devon is on the Barkley card, so we just rearranged everything, and I think this is a one-two punch. Thank you to the fight fans on behalf of Showtime, on behalf of Golden Boy, to what has been an absolutely spectacular year.
Now this fight will not be in Vegas.
No, this fight will be at the Alamo Dome, at the big setup at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio on December the 14th. San Antonio is excited or thrilled to have this fight back. San Antonio has become over the past 12-18 months for us like home away from home. Tremendous fight fans there, and I know they're going to be embracing one of the greatest cards, one of the most action-packed cards we have ever put together.
Stephen, how much did the success of the Mayweather fight pay-per-view contribute to moving with the 14th outfit?
It really it was unrelated, to be honest. We just we thought none of us were completely thrilled with putting that fight on pay-per-view. We really thought that Broner, while he is a star, can benefit from the widest possible exposure still, even at this point. So we will see Adrien Broner on pay-per-view in the very near future. That's a financial reality. But right now, we're just happy that we could, find enough quarters in the couches to put together this event back on the Showtime network.
Mark Picardi, who actually approached Broner and me, is the head of Indie Man, who is distributing all the pay-per-views for the cable industry. he approached me and Adrien when we did our last fight at the Barclays Center, and he said that he feels that Adrien Broner is ready for pay-per-view. And so when we informed them, the industry, yesterday, that we were going to not do the pay-per-view, they were quite disappointed because they were obviously looking forward to have another pay-per-view in December. But I think this is really the best for Adrien, the best for the fight fans, and the best for everyone to give that card the opportunity to be watched by as many people as possible.
The shows both the regular 9 p.m. start time?
More likely with the quadruple header, we're probably going to be starting slightly earlier, probably 8 Eastern. That's not for sure, so but I think that's my preference.
Steve, on that 14th show, though, in all seriousness, is it 2 quadruple headers?
It will be one of those will be an extreme fight.
Which one, Shumanov or?
We're still working on it.
But I mean, when you say one of them will be...
One of Ortiz or Shumanov.
Fair enough, okay.
So if you would name the opponents again for Santa Cruz, Shumanov, and Ortiz.
Cesar Seda for Leo Santa Cruz, Puerto Rican. Tomas Kovacs for Beibut Shumanov. And Alfonso Gomez for Victor Ortiz.
Is it most likely, it seems like it would most likely be Victor on Showtime given his name recognition compared to Shumanov.
Yeah, but Shumanov is a world title fight, so so we'll see.
They'll arm wrestle for it.
I like Shumanov.
We have a question from the phone. Go ahead, Steve.
Yes, hello.
There you go.
Yep. Hi.
Guys, I'm just wondering, number one, Stephen, did you still want to answer questions if Showtime had enough room in their budget to do any more fights? And also, I guess a question for both of you guys. How much did you guys kick around the possibility that as good as Broner Maidana is, that right now, neither guy or this fight really isn't something that you wanted to do on pay-per-view?
I'll tell you, I'll take, maybe we'll both take the second one first. The real hesitation on the pay-per-view, to the extent that we had hesitation on it, was just the time of the year. We ran out of time in the calendar. I think any other time of the year, this does 250, 300,000 pay-per-views easy. It's a massive fight. It's the best matchup for Broner right now. So it was unfortunate scheduling the calendar. That's really the only thing that caused us to be at all hesitant about putting that on pay-per-view. Is that fair, Richard?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And yes, you're right. As it relates to the money, I know that your competitors, Stephen, were like sending around memos saying that you shot your whatever, and that you are out of money. And look how stupid those guys are at Showtime, spending all the money, and then they have nothing left. Well, nothing left is pretty good for December 7th and December 14th. I would say that Broner Maidana is without any question, the best TV fight on live TV right now, from a matchup point of view, but from a significance for the sport, from an impact it has on the sport as well. This is as good as it comes. I cannot imagine a better live fight than Broner against Maidana. And then,
One more question before I go here. Alfred Angulo, did Jorge Melendez in essence price himself out of this particular spot?
Yes, he did, and so we moved on. We're going to be sitting down with Alfredo and planning on doing something probably in January, maybe from Los Angeles, with Alfredo Angulo, and then obviously we have Molina as well, the 154-pound IBF world champion. So we're going to see what's going to happen, what's going to be happening with him.
Yeah, and back to Steve, your previous question. I'm certainly aware of sort of the speculation, the rumors going around about, I think there's really two things. One, Showtime was out of money, and two, even more strangely, that we have put all our best talent already on the pay-per-view, and we didn't have anybody meaningful to fight for the rest of the year. I was aware of those rumors, the speculation, and I know what the source of those was. We were patient. We have a patient scheduling approach. We worked this out. This is the best case scenario. And as you can see, our talent pool is very deep. There's more than enough talent to do these two cards.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, guys.